Our secret weekend getaway. It started with a message on a quiet Thursday evening, the kind of message that brought a smile before you even opened it. The subject line was simple: pack a bag. The sender, of course, was Emily, always spontaneous, always up for an adventure, and always the spark that turned my ordinary days into something extraordinary. I stared at the glowing screen, heart racing just a little faster, already imagining what she might have planned this time. I closed my laptop and glanced around my apartment, the city lights flickering outside my window like 1,000 tiny stars. Emily and I had been together for just over a year, but every day still felt fresh, unpredictable, like we were characters in our own private story. We'd met in a rainstorm, sharing an umbrella when neither of us had planned for the weather. Now, she was planning for something more, something secret, something just for us. Friday morning arrived with a burst of sunlight. I packed light, following her instructions: comfortable shoes, a sweater, something nice for dinner. When Emily arrived, she wore that mischievous grin that always made me feel like the world was about to tilt on its axis. She didn't tell me where we were going, even as she took my hand and led me to her car. We drove out of the city, the skyline shrinking in the rearview mirror. The radio played softly, and Emily drummed her fingers on the steering wheel, humming along to the music. I watched her profile, the way the morning light caught in her hair, and felt grateful for this moment, this stretch of time that belonged only to us. It wasn't until we turned off the main highway and onto a winding country road that she finally spoke. "No peeking," she said, handing me a scarf. I laughed, but let her tie it over my eyes, trusting her completely. I felt the car slow, the gravel crunching beneath the tires, and then we stopped. When the scarf came off, I blinked in the golden afternoon. We stood at the edge of a lake, the water sparkling like a sheet of glass. A small cabin nestled among the pines, smoke curling gently from the chimney. The world was so quiet here, so still, as if it had been waiting just for us. Emily took my hand and led me down to the water's edge. She'd packed a picnic, a basket full of our favorite things: fresh bread, cheese, strawberries, and a bottle of wine. We sat on a blanket, toes brushing the cool grass, and let the hours slip past while we talked about everything and nothing at all. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, we moved inside the cabin. She'd thought of everything: soft blankets, candles, even a playlist of songs that reminded us of our first dates. We danced slowly, barefoot on the wooden floor, swaying to the music and the rhythm of our own laughter. Later, after dinner, we sat on the porch wrapped in a single blanket, watching the stars appear one by one. Emily rested her head on my shoulder, her fingers tracing idle patterns on my arm. "I wanted us to have this," she whispered. "A place that's just ours, even if it's only for a weekend." I remembered all the times we dreamed aloud together, about traveling, about finding a home, about building a life filled with little adventures. In that moment, I realized that the adventure wasn't just the place, or the secret getaway, or even the surprise. The adventure was her. It was us, together, daring to carve out our own story in a world that moved too fast. In the morning, the lake was shrouded in mist. We woke early, slipping outside with steaming mugs of coffee, our breath mingling with the cool air. Emily laughed as I tried to skip stones across the water, each one sending ripples out into the quiet. We took a canoe out into the center of the lake, paddling in silence, surrounded by nothing but nature and the steady, comforting presence of each other. We talked about the future, about hopes and fears, about the things that scared us and the things we couldn't wait to try. Emily spoke of her dreams: traveling to new places, learning to cook something complicated, maybe even writing a book one day. I told her how she'd taught me to be brave, to open my heart, to take chances even when I was afraid. By the time we returned to shore, the world was awake, birds singing in the trees, sunlight sparkling on the water. We made breakfast together, pancakes with wild blueberries we'd picked along the path. There was a simple joy in the way we moved around the little kitchen, sharing smiles and quiet touches, as if we'd been doing this our whole lives. The rest of the weekend passed in a blur of perfect moments. We hiked through the forest, hand in hand, stopping to take photos and breathe in the fresh air. We found a hidden waterfall, its steady roar drowning out the rest of the world. We wrote our initials in the soft bark of a tree, a secret mark that would outlast us both. On our last night, we made a fire by the lake. Emily curled up beside me, her head resting against my chest, and we watched the flames dance in the darkness. There was magic in that moment, a sense that, no matter where life took us, we would always have this place, this memory, this secret weekend that belonged only to us. When we finally had to leave, it was with reluctance and promises to come back. As we drove home, the city lights growing brighter in the distance, I realized that what made the getaway special wasn't the location or the surprise, but the feeling that, for those 2 days, time had slowed down just for us. Back in the city, life returned to its usual pace, work, errands, responsibilities. But something had shifted. We carried that weekend with us, a secret tucked away in our hearts, a reminder that love isn't always about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes, it's about finding a quiet place to be together, to dream together, to remember why you fell in love in the first place. Every once in a while, on a busy afternoon or a rainy night, Emily would catch my eye and smile. We didn't have to say anything. We both knew what she was thinking. Our secret weekend getaway was more than just a memory. It was a promise, a whisper of adventure always waiting just around the corner, as long as we had each other. Weeks passed, and yet the glow of that weekend lingered. The ordinary moments, coffee in the morning, sharing a joke in the kitchen, brushing hands as we walked, felt infused with something deeper. We found ourselves reminiscing over little details, the shape of the clouds over the lake, the taste of wild berries, the way our laughter echoed in the woods. These memories became a language only we spoke, a secret we carried through the daily routines of our lives. One evening, as autumn settled in and the air turned crisp, Emily surprised me again. She brought out a small, weathered journal, the kind with blank pages and a ribbon bookmark. On the first page, she'd written, "Our secret getaway, the beginning." She handed it to me, her eyes shining with mischief and affection. "Let's fill it with our adventures," she said. "All the places we'll go, all the memories we'll make." We began to write, sometimes together, sometimes separately. Scribbled notes about the cabin by the lake, sketches of the wildflowers we'd found, a list of songs that had played on the radio. It became our ritual to add to the journal, not just the big moments, but the small, quirky details that made the weekend unforgettable. The journal grew thick with memories, ticket stubs from a local theater, a pressed leaf, a lock of hair tied with a ribbon. With every entry, we realized that our secret getaway was more than a place. It was an idea, a celebration of our love, a reminder to seek out magic in the mundane. We made a pact to have more secret weekends, to keep the spirit of adventure alive, even when life got hectic. Our next getaway was to the coast, where we watched the sunrise from a windswept beach, salt in our hair and sand between our toes. We wrote about the way the waves crashed against the rocks, about the dolphins we spotted in the distance, about the taste of fresh oysters and the laughter that spilled from us without warning. Sometimes, our getaways were closer to home, a picnic in the city park under the shade of old oaks, a midnight walk through winding neighborhood streets, discovering a new cafe or a hidden garden. Each time, we found a way to make the world feel new, to carve out space for just us, to remind ourselves that love thrives in both the extraordinary and the everyday. As the seasons changed, so did we. We faced challenges, long workdays, missed phone calls, moments of doubt. But the memory of our secret weekend, and the journal that documented our adventures, became a touchstone. Whenever we felt disconnected or overwhelmed, we'd flip through its pages, reliving the laughter and the love, the sense that we belonged to something greater than ourselves. On our first anniversary, we returned to the cabin by the lake. The world looked different, leaves ablaze in fiery reds and golds, the air scented with pine and earth. We retraced our steps, rediscovered the favorite spots, and added new memories to our growing collection. We spent hours in front of the fire, reading aloud from the journal, grateful for the journey we'd shared and the adventures yet to come. That night, as we lay beneath the stars, Emily turned to me, her voice soft and full of wonder. "Do you ever think about what brought us here?" she asked. "All the choices, all the little moments that led to this one." Quote. I squeezed her hand, feeling the weight and the lightness of our story. "I think about it all the time," I said, "and I wouldn't change a single thing." In the silence that followed, I realized that our love story was still being written, every day, with every choice we made. The Secret Weekend Getaway was only the beginning, a spark that ignited something lasting, something that would carry us through the years, through all the seasons of our lives. We left the cabin with hearts full and spirits renewed, promising to return again, to keep seeking out new adventures, to never let the magic fade. The city welcomed us back, but we carried the quiet strength of those secret weekends, the knowledge that, no matter where we were, we could always find our way back to each other. And so, our story continued, one adventure, one memory, one secret getaway at a time.